And we can just start rolling the B-roll. All right. Hey guys, iNoobtacular here. Today I have a very special stream. Today we're going to be congratulating one of my best friends and a fellow VGC player in his sophomore year. His name is Richard Morales Jr., also introduced by the name of Redmagusgames. You can see some of his gameplay on the screen. I'm going to let him take it over from here now. Hey Rich, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, like AJ said, this is only my second season of VGC, Scarlet and Violet. I've been a singles player for a very long time now, but I'm just dipping my toes in the water of VGC. So
Nice, nice, nice. So I got a few
yes.
questions here for you that let's break a bit of
Mhm.
the ice before we get into the really deep stuff here. Um are you, is VGC and streaming your full-time job at the moment, or do you have something else that you're doing on the side?
No. Streaming is currently my only full-time thing right now.
Are you a full-time VGC streamer, or is it variety?
No, it's a variety stream.
Oh, nice, cool. What else do you stream on your stream?
Mostly stuff off my Nintendo Switch, although I did just recently get a new gaming PC, so I've been streaming some PC games.
Ooh,
And I have PlayStation 5 and Xbox, so I can stream pretty much anything I want, but my main focus is Nintendo games because I'm a Nintendo fanboy.
makes total sense, dude. So, outside of playing Pokemon, do you have any hobbies that you'd like to share with everyone here?
Just the main one. The main one is I play the Digimon TCG. I haven't played in a couple of months because I haven't been able to go to my locals. And also I'm behind on a couple sets, so I haven't been able to get any of the most recent cards. But my main hobby outside of gaming is definitely Digimon TCG and TCGs in general. But Digimon's my main hyperfixation right now.
Nice. Do you play any Pokemon TCG at all?
I more collect the Pokemon TCG. I don't really play it.
Mm-hmm.
It's how do I describe it? It's a little bit much to play, but collecting it is fine for me.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, maybe sometime down the line we can get to see in some of your Pokemon collection.
Yeah, for sure. It's not big, but it's there.
It's there. Okay, so when did you start playing Pokemon? When would you say your first interaction with the games were?
Oh, first interaction ever?
Yeah, overall.
I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. My cousins had picked up copies of Red and Blue because they were twins. They each had one version, and then I played it a little bit. I played Stadium actually at their house
Wow.
for the first time. That was my first interaction with Pokemon, and then my parents picked me up the copies. And I was bullied into picking Bulbasaur
Oh,
because that was the only starter they didn't have because they were twins, so they each had a starter already. So I was quote unquote bullied into picking Bulbasaur, but it ended up working out because Bulbasaur is the best starter of Kanto, so it worked out.
yeah. There's a story in Belize about this child that
Mm-hmm.
was fed like soup broth and bones, whereas
Mm-hmm.
the other lady had her child eating the meat, and the child that ate the meat was the one that ended up getting sick, and the one that ate the broth and bones was the one that ended up healthy, right? In the end, it
Mm-hmm.
kind of worked out the same way for you, right?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I ended up with the best possible starter you could. But the first time I got into like actual like finishing a Pokemon game with
Mm-hmm.
reading and understanding was Fire Red was the first Pokemon game I ever finished,
So
and Gen
2004.
4. Yeah, that was the first time I ever finished a Pokemon game.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. But
Mhm.
Bulbasaur was your first Pokemon, like
Ever
period.
Pokemon, yes. Period.
Mhm.
Bulbasaur was my number one Pokemon ever.
Nice. That's good. See, cool things to know. I didn't even know that.
Hmm.
Okay. So to contrast that question there,
Hmm.
when did your competitive life start? Where would you say that began?
Easily Gen 4. Gen 4 Diamond Pearl. Mostly, actually, started around Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver era.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I entered high school, and I found more people who were more interested in the competitive side of Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
and they put me on to I think it was Pokemon Online, the first battle sim that I remember.
Oh, you got into
Um,
online?
which one?
You got in on during the time when online was made?
Yeah,
That was like
that's when I.
20
That's
2011, right?
no, I. Well, actually, yeah, because that was when that was when Online was made. Yeah.
Like
So
2010
so I
maybe.
Yeah. So Gen 4 was when I first started reading about competitive. But Gen 5 was when I guess I started actually playing it.
Hmm. That's pretty neat,
Because
man.
there were, yeah, 'cause I thought there was a simulator for Gen 4, but I might be misremembering.
Oh yeah, there was
Um,
one. It was called Shoddy Battle. It didn't have like anything, like no
Shoddy Battle,
animations.
right, right.
Yeah,
No,
it was
I
just
remember Shoddy Battle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Gen 4 was my getting my feet wet in competitive, but Gen 5 is where I really started to actually learn and play properly.
okay. To contrast that question again, when did you
Mhm.
say that you started to? Did you okay? In Generation 4, did you start like breeding Pokemon competitively? Or would you say that that was just a simulator phase for you? You know, we all have that simulator phase.
Right, 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 right. Honestly, my simulator phase went from Gen 4 to about Gen 8 with some in between in-game stuff. It was really, really minor in-game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, the first time I ever tried breeding and raising was Gen 5. The first time I ever did it properly was Gen 6. I more or less skipped Gen 7 in a competitive standpoint, and Gen 8 is when I went really in with the in-game stuff. Um, but I still play, on the simulators, of course. But my main in-game phase really started in Gen 8 because it was just super easy and accessible to the in-game stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. And this is all like singles, right? This is before your VGC career. This is like
Yeah, this is about 99% singles. Yeah.
okay, okay.
My only experience with double battles was like Coliseum and XD, where they force you to do it, or Battle Revolution, where they had the gimmick double battles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But outside of those spin-off games, yeah, about 99% of my experience with Pokemon is singles.
Okay, okay. Um, you mentioned that in high school, that's when you kind of got into like competitive, you like competitive singles, right? Is there a
Right.
a person that you would say was your catalyst? What was that experience
Uh,
like?
it wasn't really a person. I was more on a forum. Well, I know it was a few people because a lot of the seniors. I forget their names because I don't really keep in touch with anybody from high school.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the seniors there were it was part of the anime trading card club, but a lot of them were really into Pokemon as well, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Um, and they were talking about like EVs and IVs, and then hearing them talk about it is what sparked me to like Google search like what that all meant. And then they started talking to me about it once I learned what it meant, and then that's kind of where it started.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that there's, a camaraderie. The game, the game's like whole thing is social interaction, and it
Absolutely,
proved
yeah.
itself through and through to your situation here. Um
Hmm.
so, we're at the beginning of the stream and we're talking about firsts. What would you say is like the first Pokemon that you tried to breed competitively? Or what was the first Pokemon that, stuck out to you like, oh, I gotta have one of these?
In terms of breeding, it was when I started breeding in Gen 6. I started raising in Gen 5, but I started breeding in Gen 6. I wanted to breed a competitive version of my favorite starter at the time, Chestnut. Greninja has since taken its place because Greninja has, the Ash Greninja form. But the first Pokemon I tried breeding properly was a 5 IV, because special attack didn't matter, Chestnut.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got it to 4 IVs before I started giving up. And the first Pokemon I ever properly raised, well, I say properly, I didn't account for natures or anything,
Hmm.
but the first Pokemon I EV trained ever was a Kyurem in Black and White,
Oh
original
wow.
Black and White, so a regular Kyurem, yeah. Because I don't know, something about Kyurem just fascinated me back then, and that fascination proved to be worthwhile when it got its new forms. So
Yeah. How'd you raise the Kyurem? Do you remember?
it was definitely a Glaciate special attacker.
Mm-hmm.
Because Glaciate lowers the speed, and I thought that would be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a regular, 252 special attacker.
Any complimentary moves that you remember from that set there?
Uh, Not that I remember off the top of my head. I could probably pull up Smogon and see if they have the set. But
Mm-hmm.
if they have it with Earth Power, that means it's Black 2, White 2,
Mm-hmm.
which means I didn't have that set. But let me pull up Smogon real quick. Black and White. Excuse me. Sorry. Too much water. Curum regular. Okay, yeah, it was so Smogon only has the sub roost set up right now, but I remember it was like Glacier. What other moves did it learn by level up? I honestly don't remember off the top of my head, so I apologize.
No worries.
But it was a Glaciate focus set, so it was. I think it was Life Orb as well. But that's about all I remember from that hero.
Nice, nice. I mean, I didn't expect the answer to be a legendary Pokemon, like right off the
Mm-hmm.
rip.
Yeah.
So it's actually interesting. I'm learning things about this as we go along as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so again, we're talking about firsts here, and Scarlet and Violet, if I'm not mistaken, is your first video game championship series game, correct?
First one I'm playing, yes.
Mm-hmm.
First one I kept track of was Sword and Shield
Mm-hmm.
because that's when I really became. Well, no, first one I kept track of was Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm.
That was after, like, I had heard about VGC, and the only time VGC ever really made an impact on me before Sword and Shield was
Mm-hmm.
when I heard that Pachirisu had won a tournament, and I was like, what?
Oh yeah, in
Um, because that
2013, I
was like
think.
yeah, because that was like a news everywhere. Um, But yeah, the first time I started keeping track of VGC stuff was Sword and Shield. First time I ever started playing was Scarlet Violet with season two, series one. That's when you helped me with the Ceruledge team,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're in. Well, now season four just started today because it's 11 o'clock, which means it's almost midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that means we're still in series two, which is with the Paradox Mons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the first time I've series one is when I first started playing VGC for Scarlet Violet. Series two is where I finally hit Masterball tier in Scarlet Violet.
Nice. And how was your journey getting to Master Ball tier? Between the two series and everything. How was that journey getting there?
Well, for series one, I didn't get to Master Ball, but it was interesting starting from like no ball tier to getting to. I think I hit Great Ball 9. No, I hit Ultra Ball at max, but then I dropped to Great Ball 9, and then I kind of got discouraged and stopped for season one. Either that or something else. Some other game came out, probably the latter. But then when the series reset, the season reset rather, they keep some of your progress. So I was Great Ball 8 when Series 2 started with Season 3. So then that made the climb a little bit easier because I didn't have to go through all the lower ranks again.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, it was just a matter of time, patience, and trial and error that got me to Master Ball tier. Really.
Nice. And congratulations to yourself for making it to
Yes,
that
thank you.
achievement. Um,
Yes, thank you.
and as it was a recent time that this all happened, what was your
Mhm.
initial reaction making it to Master Ball tier?
It was like a sigh of relief, because it was just because you've used the team I've used, so But the Pokemon I'm a big fan of this current generation, or just now of all time, is Slitherwing. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been using a Slitherwing team,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not easy. It's not as easy as like using like a Palafin or something, for example, that just kind of wrecks everything.
Mm-hmm.
It takes more thought and practice to use that. So it was more of a sigh of relief that with the season almost over, that I don't have to reset all the way back to Great Ball. I think with Master Ball, I think you reset back to Ultra at the beginning of a season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then so now I can that just makes my future climbs to Master a little bit easier, and that lets me go with more of the more upper echelon of opponents as opposed to like a lot of the beginners that I I fought. Well, I assume they're beginners, but I don't really know. But
Never
you know
really
what I
know.
mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and how has achieving Master Ball tier, changed or influenced your perspective on the sanctioned competitive side of Pokemon?
Well, it's hard to say because Master Ball is a little bit different than actual competitive Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
They're very similar, of course, but they use doubles. Well, doubles is the main thing they have in common. But it's interesting because the VGC uses an open team sheet where the climb to Master Ball you don't really have all that information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of learning. Like I said, a lot of trial and error of learning like what common Pokemon do, what items they're having, what Terra types they're running.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's more of a learning experience. I've never actually been to a sanctioned Pokemon event, So I'd assume that'd be actually a little bit easier. No offense to the people who play, just because you do have all that extra information, as opposed to playing online where you're just kind of going in blind, learning as you go.
Information
That's not,
curation. I'm sorry, you were saying?
no, I was just gonna say that, like I said, that's not to take away from the people who do well at tournaments. Just playing online is definitely very different than playing in an actual physical tournament.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Information curation
Mhm.
is a part of the old school skill set of of Pokemon
Mhm.
players and stuff like that. And
Oh,
based on
absolutely.
segueing from that question there,
Mhm.
you're mentioning tournaments and open sheets and stuff like that. Have you participated in any tournaments between Series One and Series Two?
I have not. In terms of physical real life tournaments, I have never been to one for anything that wasn't a Digimon TCG. And even then, I've only played at like the local level of that. Um, in terms of like online stuff, I've done a few. I've done a few minor mini tournaments on like Showdown or played with people on Showdown, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never done anything like super competitive yet. Keyword being yet for
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon at the moment.
And how? So you have some sort of tournament experience, right?
From playing Pokemon, only
Like
on the single side. Um,
but you did play like online for some for VGC
yes,
series.
yes, I played like a couple matches for VGC series online with the Open Team Sheet.
Okay, and what was that like for you?
Very different. I did it before I started my climb, to test out the team. Before I started making it in game. And then when I went online, it was just like, oh yeah, there's no Open Team Sheet, so I have to actually, figure out what they're doing and what they're planning, as opposed to Open Team Sheet where you can like look at their entire team and be like, okay, so that's the game plan of their team.
Yeah, it is a bit different. I'd say.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've spoken a bit about VGC. We've spoken a bit about of singles and stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
so I guess now's a good time to pop the question on you.
Go for it.
Which format would you say that you've enjoyed more?
Singles or VGC?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll always be a singles player at heart, just
Yeah.
because that is how I got my start at Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think VGC is a little bit more skill intensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really play Pokemon to stress out.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the singles, it's a lot more casual. There's no rank. There are rankings to worry about, but it's not like an official tournament or anything for singles where everything official is doubles. So there's
Mm-hmm.
always that pressure to like try and do better in doubles than there is in singles. Um, but overall, I will say I probably prefer singles just because it is a little bit easier. But doubles has my respect now after actually playing it properly. Um, yeah.
And yourself being I guess I feel that I can call you a veteran of the game, being that you've been
Mhm.
playing competitively for well over a decade now. Um,
Yeah, more or less.
what would you say with all this time would be your favorite format, like of all time, right now? Like, if you had to
Favorite,
yeah.
mm, favorite format of all time was probably early black and white, like before Team Preview existed.
Oh no.
On Yeah, just because I would choose wins with Conkeldurr leads or Zoroark disguised as Conkeldurr
Mm-hmm.
against every single lead Reuniclus, and it would just destroy them, and it'd be hilarious. Gen 5 as a whole, Gen 5 pre Black 2, White 2, like before the Kyurem forms and all the move tutors and stuff, was
Mm-hmm.
probably my favorite. Original Black and White for sure.
Wow, that's an
Um,
interesting answer. Controversial one at that, but yeah.
mhm,
If it's your favorite, it's your favorite, man. Can't get it. You can't.
yeah.
Nobody can get at you for that. And I'm gonna ask you a bit of a split question here, right? And
Hmm.
you can probably unify it at the end and pick one that's overall your favorite.
Go for it.
Over time has, as time has progressed, you said that Sudowoogie is your favorite Pokemon, but
Mhm.
from like a competitive single standpoint, what would you say is that one Pokemon that you just cannot do a team without?
Easily Porygon 2. I it's It's like that Frank's Red Hot Sauce commercial. I put that shit on everything.
Yeah.
I put Porygon 2 on pretty much every single singles team I make. It's just such a good wall. Like, it's such a good cover for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows me to have more freedom with my team building because I don't really need as many walls.
Mm-hmm.
Where Porygon 2 can handle most of the defensive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, easily my favorite competitive Pokemon is easily Porygon 2 from a defensive standpoint. And overall it's Porygon 2. If I had to choose a favorite offensive Pokemon, it would probably be either Nidoking or Volcarona.
Mm-hmm.
Volcarona is just consistently good no matter what generation it's in. And Nidoking is just a fun Pokemon to use with its mixed move pool and sheer force and stuff.
Nice. Nice. And if you had to just pick one overall from a single standpoint, who would it be?
Porygon 2, easily. No
Porygon 2?
contest.
Okay. And so is Porygon's 2 non-existence in Scarlet and Violet any inclination as to why you were, so ready to take on the challenge of playing VGC in this season?
Not really. Because Sword and Shield also didn't have Porygon 2 at launch. It was a DLC Pokemon.
True.
So, and I wasn't really as inspired to take on VGC in Sword and Shield. I don't know. Maybe the Gigantamax kind of killed it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There was something about this season that I just felt called to, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to describe it any other way. I just felt called, like, with all the... I feel like I was in a place where I could take on VGC because I finally had enough knowledge and game sense, and there were enough cool Pokemon where I was just like, okay, I'm interested now.
Yeah, that makes total sense, dude. That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, there, I want to segue over and ask you. You played 2 seasons now. You got probably a ton more to play. We have some Pokemon that have not been released yet. It's maybe it's a little early to ask you this question, but as it stands, what would you say is your favorite VGC Pokemon? Something that you feel, yeah, I want this to be on my team all the time if it's viable. So far.
That's a good question. Let me think about that for a second.
Take your time.
I know season 1 Murkrow was very helpful. So Rule Edge was a lot of fun. Slitherwing needs a little work, for sure. Hopefully it'll get better when they add the legendaries and the weather. And they add the weather and everything. I don't really have like a clear favorite for VGC yet. I am happy Palafin. I haven't used it yet, but I'm very happy Palafin has won 3 regionals.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I want to give a Palafin team a shot sometime because I was always wanting a Dolphin Pokemon, and Palafin pretty much is a Dolphin Pokemon. But yeah, I don't really have a clear favorite at the moment for VGC.
Are you alluding that the next team that you're going to be building is going to be a Palafin team?
Possibly. Depends.
Nice. Looking forward to seeing that.
Very much. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not a hard team to build. You put Rain, you put Palafin, you hit things very hard.
I mean, sometimes that's all it takes, Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah,
sometimes you just gotta overpower the opponent and
true enough.
work with it, Getting back to your Masterball tier climb, I know I'm a bit all over the place here. Did you feel that you were going to make it this season? I know you said that last season you kind of you peaked at like Great Ball 9.
Ultra Ball, actually.
I'm sorry, you peaked at Ultra Ball, and then like at the end of the season you're at Great Ball 9, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, it was season 1 I peaked at Ultra Ball, then I dropped to Great Ball 9, and then because I kept losing in Ultra Ball, and then for this season I think I started at Great Ball 7 or 8. Because I was at Great Ball 9 at the end of the season. So I started at Great Ball 7 or 8 this season. I think it was 8, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So with that information in mind, going into season 2, did you feel that your climb to Master Ball was imminent, or did you feel that it was, what was your mindset going into that, finishing that climb there?
Finishing it was like a sigh of relief, like I said before, just because it's a completely different metagame from season 1. Season 1 was completely overrun by like Dozogiri and Murkrows and Indeedee Armor Rouges, where series 2 was nothing but paradoxes everywhere. The paradox Pokemon. Every team I'm pretty sure almost every team I fought had at least one paradox.
Mm-hmm.
And the power level of those Pokemon, whether it be defensively, offensively, or speed wise, the power level of those Pokemon is a little bit silly compared to season 1, where they weren't there. So it was definitely a harder season to play, in my opinion. Well, yeah, it was a harder season to play just because the power level was that much higher and things were dying left and right on both sides in
True.
most matches.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say it was definitely a little bit harder to play season 2, just because there were more Pokemon available, and I'm sure for the future seasons it's only going to get harder with more and more stuff being added
Yeah.
as DLC. And we literally just got 2 new Pokemon on Monday. So yeah, it'll definitely get harder as it goes, but for now, it felt good to hit it. It felt challenging, but it also felt very rewarding to overcome that challenge.
Mm-hmm. Makes total sense to me. So you played more than enough games. I'm looking at the one of your stream archives here. I think you played
Oh
well
yeah.
over 100 games of Pokemon so far. I would argue that's enough to say that you're well versed in VGC. You probably played some on the Showdown ladder as well.
Mhm.
Um, let's play a little bit of devil's advocate here. If there's one Pokemon that you could delete from this season or delete from the next upcoming season, one Pokemon that you do not want to see at all, who would it be?
Um, That's a tough one. As a Slithering man, I want to get rid of Indeedee because the psychic terrain preventing my first impressions is a pain.
Mm-hmm.
Palafin is just really, really. I love Palafin, but it's like overly strong. Like I said, it's won the past 3 regionals. It's been on every winning team of the past 3 regionals. For season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Dozo's a pain in the butt. Dozo Geary is a pain. Like Geary by itself is fine. Dozo by itself is fine. Them together is a pain. So any one of those can go. Probably not Palafin because I do want to make a Palafin team, but at the same time, that thing is just ridiculously strong.
Hey, I mean those stats are pretty crazy overall on the board. You've
Yeah.
mentioned regionals a few times. Do you have plans on maybe trying to travel to a regional?
I do plan. Let me look up when the next one is because I had talked to my family about it. Because I don't drive and I don't really make any money at the moment, but I rely on my family for a lot of stuff. I had talked to my mother about it, and she said she would be willing to take me provided her work schedule works out. So let
Mm-hmm.
me look up when the next regional is. Hold on. Pokemon regionals. Pokemon regional championships. Let me see. I believe the next one is where September, October. No, this is last year. That's Vancouver. I'm not going to that one. Yes, the next one is in Vancouver, but that's not the one I plan on going to.
Mm-hmm.
The first regional I ever plan on going to, excuse me, is the weekend of March 24th to the 26th at the Charlotte Convention Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, which
Nice.
is not super far from me. It's only like a 10-hour drive, but it's the closest regional I can get to because they don't do them in New York. So
Oh yeah, I'm hoping that
I
you do
do.
well at that regional. How do you think you're going to do? How do you think you'll fare?
I have no idea, honestly. Like I said, it's completely different from playing online because there's open team sheet, so the opponents can predict what I'm doing as well as I can always predict what they're doing as well. But it's going to be interesting. I've never been to a regional. I don't know what to expect. Hopefully the people there are nice. That's something I always worry about. But in terms of like actual standings, how I think I'll do, obviously I would like to win it all. Nobody ever wants to go home without winning it all. But if I can make like top 32, depending on how many people are there,
Mm-hmm.
if I can make like top 32, top 16, hell, I'll love a top 8. Um, that would be ideal. But if I can just make it past the first Swiss rounds, I'll be happy. On day 1, and then if I can move on to day 2, I'll be satisfied with that at least.
Nice. Good luck to you on your journey heading to this tournament
Yes.
here. What so, for your VGC career, what does family mean to you? Um,
It's an interesting one. My family's always been very supportive of what I do, and I'm very grateful for that. We're not like super close, but we're close enough where they'll help me out, I'll help them out.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's really all I have to say about family. We're close, but not super close. But they're very supportive, and loving, and all the good stuff a family should be. So
So it works out in the end in your favor.
it does. Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm happy to hear that that is the situation.
Hmm.
At home, and how so you did make obviously you had to have that conversation with them that hey I want to travel to this tournament. How was
Hmm.
the initial reaction, if I may ask, to that question?
Um, I think the initial reaction was something along the lines of, "Why didn't you ask us sooner?" Because they know I've always been into Pokemon, and they know I've always been into gaming and all the competitive aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they were just more shocked that I didn't ask sooner. Um, because they were my mother especially was very ready to be like, "Yeah, let's go. As long as work permits, let's go." So that was nice.
That's awesome,
It
man.
was a very yeah, it was a very positive response. So that's good.
That is awesome. I'm so happy I asked that question because a lot of times
Mhm.
there are a lot of neo parents, just new age parents that even though they are that way, they still have that traditionalist mindset and they don't believe
Mhm.
that gaming can do anything for us as individuals. They don't understand it as a job market or anything of that nature. So,
Mhm.
hearing that you are having a positive reception in that regard is honestly a step in the right direction. Kudos to your parents for, you know, looking to their son and trying to support his esports career, um, you know, going forward. How far do
Well, let's
you
hope it.
you're
I was
asking?
gonna say,
You're saying?
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's hope it turns into a career. Let's hope I do well.
Hey, I mean, look, Cybertron didn't win his first VGC major,
True.
but he kept playing. And
Hmm.
he is the legend that he is today because he kept playing. So, you know,
Yeah.
we might not pull a win, we might not pull the top 32 that we want, but even if
Mm.
we don't, I
At least
hope
I
that
played. Yeah.
you played and you got the experiences. I honestly hope that you do keep trucking based on just that factor there alone.
Mhm.
Is there anything going into this regional that you're nervous about?
Um. Well, I have anxiety with crowds, so there's that. Like from a personal aspect, that's really the main thing I'm nervous about. In terms of playing, not so much because it is just Pokemon. It's a game I've been playing. Like I said, I've been playing since Red Blue. So it's nothing. It's nothing I'm not familiar with. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like I'm learning a new game for the first time.
It's a pretty cool answer. It makes a lot of sense too. And how do
Mm.
you how do you think that you'll deal with your crowd anxiety?
Um, gonna take some anxiety meds. Gonna ask my doctor to gonna ask my doctor to up my prescription just a little bit.
Okay, so you are diagnosed with mental health conditions. How has that impacted your gaming career? As somebody who is also diagnosed, how has that impacted your gaming career?
It's interesting to say the least. I guess it's the main reason why I've never competed before now. Like I've never felt like I've had it under a good handle when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
admittedly. Even until recently I'd never really had a good handle on my mental health. But, with support from my family and some friends and an actual good therapist and stuff, now that I have a handle on it, I feel like I can actually go to these kind of events and compete and do well. And even if, like I said, even if I don't do as well as I'd like, I can handle the losses better as well as the highs. So I'm looking forward to it. Going to Charlotte, but yeah, in terms of mental health, it's the most important thing is to actually find like a good support system and get it under control before you can actually get some stuff done.
Yeah, totally. And do you feel that you have that support system?
Now I do. Yes.
Uh,
It took a while to get there, but I feel like I have it now. Yeah.
if I may ask, what would you say comprises of that support system?
Family, a couple friends, a lot of my stream viewers who support the stream and are kind with their words, and of course my therapist. He's been a big help. And my psychiatrist, but we only talk once a month, whereas my therapist we talk every week. So yeah.
Uh,
That's my support system in a nutshell.
it's honestly amazing, dude. That is honestly amazing. So, correlating mental health with gaming and competitive gaming, do you feel that you have grown as an individual during your time period? Did you freeze that guy? You froze his armor. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the video and I saw you start laughing and somebody disconnected and you froze the dude's armor
Mhm.
when he was supposed to win.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that match. That was a good match.
Okay,
That felt good.
let,
That
let,
felt good.
let's pull off on a tangent here. What was going through your head when you saw that freeze come in?
It's funny because I remember distinctly, literally saying, "I don't win this unless I freeze him." Because he was Terra Grass, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
correct?
he was Sarah Grass.
Yeah, and I think the trick room had just worn off,
Mm-hmm. And
so or
he
was
hit you
about,
like,
or where, yeah, it either just wore off or was going to wear off next turn, and he was going to kill me.
mm-hmm.
And my thought process was, if because I know there was no psychic terrain, so I was like, he can't kill me with expanding force. So if he Terra Blasts, he kills me. If I don't freeze him, he kills me anyway. So I was just praying for the freeze there, and I got that. And I remember laughing so hard because he disconnected right after, or they disconnected right after. Yeah.
That was hilarious. So yeah, I was asking if making this switch to competitive,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel that has impacted your growth as I don't want to say a mental health patient because I think that that's a bit insensitive, but
Right.
as someone
Someone with.
diagnosed with mental health problems,
Mhm.
do you feel that it has helped you in any way, maybe communication or self
It's
understanding?
it's more help with confidence issues,
Mm-hmm.
more than anything else. And it's interesting because you learn to handle the losses a lot better as they accumulate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just drink some water. But yeah, it definitely helps with the confidence more than anything else, especially when you do well and hit Master Ball like I did. And then you get inspired to go to tournaments, and then you watch people do well on stream and stuff. Like the main reason I want to go to Charlotte is because I saw Justin Tang win the Knoxville one, and that was literally his first regional ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him win it all, and I was just like, I have to go do a regional now because that could have been me, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Ironically, the next question I was about to ask you was, are there any players within your circle and within the VGC sphere that you would say you look up to or you go to as inspiration?
Outside of Justin Tang winning the most recent regional, not really. I don't really. Because I try to view them as people, and
Mm-hmm.
if I view them as inspirations, that kind of gets away from me. I try to just view them as other Pokemon players who just happen to do well, or not happen to do well, but who just happen to be really good at Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely Justin Tang's most recent win, easily an inspiration, especially because, like I said, it was his first regional ever. And he won it all against like big names like Wolf Glick and such. So that was really impressive. I remember watching that final game and being like, God damn, he did it.
Yeah. Feel good story, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And outside of the competitive sphere, are there any players that you look up to or you see you'd say are a big influence on your Pokemon career?
Outside of you, no, not really.
Appreciate the kind words, dude. Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah,
Honestly, I was not fishing for that. I thought that there may be some more people, uh,
no, not really. You're part of the reason I got into this nonsense, and you're part of the reason I'm sticking around. So
I really do appreciate that, man. Um,
yeah, of course.
you did mention that we did get two new Pokemon. It's Iron Leaves, I think, and Roaring Wake
No, Iron Leaves and Walking Wake.
and Walking Wake. It's Waking Wake. It's Walking Wake.
Yes, it's Walking Wake.
Okay.
Hold on. Cerebi just announced the new battle rules. Hold on. April 1st is when we're allowed to use the Treasures of Ruin as of Cerebi.
April 1st.
April 1st through June 30th is series 3 regulation C.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they'll allow the four Treasures of Ruin into competitive. So
Okay,
we have a
so
whole month. We have a whole month before those things come around.
all right, guys, you heard it here first. Be ready with your strategies for that coming here in April. Um, Yeah. So, are you looking forward to using Walking Wake and Iron Leaves? I think it's called.
Yes, Iron Leaves.
Well, that's such a dumb
Um,
name. I'm sorry.
no, both their I like Walking Wakes. I do not like Iron Leaves,
It's
but
so basic. Like, I don't know why
it
they did
is.
that to all the Iron Pokemon. I know I'm going off on a
Mhm.
tangent here, but it's like, wow, we really sat down and it's like, let's just put Iron in front of everything and then look for one defining feature.
Yeah, it's not great, but you know, at least the designs visually are very appealing.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're not allowed yet in VGC,
Mm-hmm.
so we're really only allowed to use them in singles. Um, I definitely look forward to using Walking Wake just because of its new move Hydro Steam,
Mm-hmm.
which is do you know what it does, or should I explain it?
It's a base 80 move with 100% accuracy that gets a weather boost, whether it's in sun or in rain, basically.
Yes, yes, it's a 50% boost in sun, and the regular. If it's sun, it's 50%. If it's rain, it's the regular 1.3, I think.
Yeah, I'm not entirely familiar with the boost in the weather,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
Oh,
somewhere
okay,
around
gotcha.
that. It's somewhere around
Yeah,
that
something.
ballpark.
Yeah, something like yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to Walking Wake just because it's also a water dragon type, which means few weaknesses.
Hmm.
It learns flamethrower, it learns hurricane, so it's good in any weather. So Walking Wake looks hype as hell. Iron Leaf not so much. It definitely looks like it's a better singles Pokemon. I have to look up if Hydro Steam hits both opponents because if it does, that's insane. If not, it can still learn like Surf and stuff. So
I think it'd be busted if it hits both. Honestly, if we're gonna be talking about
mhm.
like what
No,
that
you're
would be
right.
doing, I think it'd be busted
No,
because
you're absolutely right. But I gotta look it up I gotta test it out just to see. Um, yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward to them. We just have no news on when they're coming to VGC. But if slash when they do, I do want to make a Walking Wake team. I actually just caught my Walking Wake today and my Violet. I got to boot up my Scarlet and catch it in that.
is it one
Yeah,
per cartridge?
it's one per save file. Yes.
No.
Yeah. So right now it's only one per save file at the moment. It's but you can get both of them in one version by connecting to somebody else who has the other version and
Hmm.
doing their raid with them. So yeah, I have Violet. I got Iron Leaves pretty much on my own. Um, yeah, Iron Leaves was really easy to get because I just used a Will-O-Wisp Hex, Shiyu, the fish, and
Hmm.
then for for um for Walking Wake, I just used Belly Drum Iron Hands on somebody else's raid on the internet, so that was pretty easy to get. It helps that they're only 5 stars,
Yeah,
so
not
they
six. I
don't.
thought they were gonna be six.
I thought they were going to be sevens,
Wow.
just
Yeah.
because it'd be easier to get them with perfect IVs. But hold on, let me install this. Accept. No. Okay, cool. Oh wow, that finished downloading. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to using them. It's just we have no news of when they'll be legal. So we just got to wait for that.
Yeah, and since we know that the Treasures of Ruin are coming out, are there any Treasures of Ruin that you're looking forward to using?
Shiyu and Shen Pao, because I just like to hit things really hard.
That does seem like your
That's
strategy.
It's a very fun strategy. They can't kill me if they're dead first.
Are you looking forward to maybe trying something like Shen Pao with Palafin, maybe?
That would be interesting. I'd like to see how that could work.
Yeah,
But
so
if I could only use one Pokemon, it would probably be either Shiyu or Shen Pao at the moment.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna see
Um,
most of them just running around on teams.
mhm,
I'm pretty sure we're gonna see most of them just floating around doing stupid stuff on everybody's teams.
for
I'm
sure,
looking
for
forward
sure.
to it, but I'm also not looking forward to it.
Hmm. Agreed.
But yeah,
But we'll see. We'll see.
I am going a bit off on a tangent here. I do think that
Mm.
I've asked you, pretty much every question that is possible to be asked. But I do want to look towards the future as we are talking about it. Is there any
Mhm.
planned content for your social media platforms relating to Pokemon that you're looking forward to putting out that the people here looking at this stream should know about?
Outside of my regular streams, not really. Maybe a couple top 10 lists if we can get that sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the moment, I have some ideas for stuff I want to do. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to give people hope that's for something that may or may not come.
Mm-hmm.
But I have some ideas of stuff I want to do, but that's just a matter of getting people together and getting it done. But for now, for Pokemon content, it's just going to be on my regular streams. You can find my stream schedule every Thursday on Twitter. I post it for the coming week. But yeah, that's for Pokemon content. All I really have planned are just my regular Pokemon streams.
Could you provide the stream with your Twitter handle?
Yes, Twitter handle is actually. Let me look that up because I don't remember it off the top of my head. Hold on. Let's go to Twitter. I had a different one previously. Yeah, it's just at Redmagusgames. My Twitch is just twitch.tv/Redmagusgames. And my YouTube is also at Redmagusgames, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that. So that way, in case you miss a stream or you want to watch only a specific game from me, yeah, it's at Redmagusgames on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch a specific stream or want to watch my Fire Emblem content that I do only on YouTube, you can go there. If you just want to watch my streams in general, Twitch is the place. And if you want to see my schedule for streams, you can go on my Twitter for the schedules.
Awesome. Well, Rich, it was a pleasure having you here on this stream. Congratulations again on making it to Masterball tier. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the viewers, anyone that you'd like to shout out before we, pull the plug on this stream?
Anybody I'd like to shout out? No, not really. Actually, yeah, my friend Keltalo, who probably isn't watching, but my friend Keltalo, who inspired me to get back into streaming again, in general. And then, of course, you for getting me into competitive, or helping coach me and stuff. And then in terms of, I don't know, outside of that, yeah, it's just you two that really helped me out. Shout outs to the Pokemon theme song, Pokemon World, for inspiring me to, actually take the first steps into wanting to become competitive, because that theme song slaps.
It does.
But yeah, that's all the shout outs for now. For viewer messages, all I have to say is if you want to do something, just do it. I know that's cliche and lame, but I wouldn't have gotten a Master Ball had I not started playing. I probably would have gotten a Master Ball in singles, but if I really wanted to take doubles seriously, which I do plan on doing, it wouldn't have gotten anywhere had I just sat around playing singles all day. I needed to actually start playing doubles. So if there's something you want to do, competitive or not, serious or not, it could be something small, it could be something big. Just go out and do it. Worst case scenario, you learn something from it.
Thank you for the beautiful words, Rich. I think we're gonna sign out on that note. There, it was a pleasure having you here, and guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.
Yes, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure being here. Yes, take care.